Nice to have you,
Yeah.
everyone. Thank you so much for making time. It's fascinating to see how everyone is in different places at this point. Matt, you're joining from Australia. Julia, you're in London, if I'm right.
Yes. Yes.
And Andre is in Brazil. Julia, thank you so
Brazil.
much for making it. I know it's late for you over there.
It's a pleasure.
So I really appreciate. So welcome to our World Rainforest Day Summit. This is our third virtual summit. I'm super excited to have you here for the Forest to Table Regenerative and Responsible Business, where we're going to be really discussing a little bit more about the private sector. As we know, the private sector is worth trillions of dollars globally. It's perhaps the best positioned one to have an immediate and revolutionary impact on our planet and our people. Yet, despite this, and I hope you agree with me, the ambitions, the agreement ambitions, the commitments, business models have been slower to embrace the practices and the accountability necessary for transformative change. So in this session, I'm really inviting the three of you to have a conversation, have an exchange of ideas. I'll make some questions to guide the conversation, where I really want to showcase the three of you as pioneers in this private sector that I mentioned, by unlocking symbiosis between global businesses and the local communities and the ecosystems that these businesses depend and source from. So we have quickly 5 minutes to introduce yourselves. Julia, I'll start with you. If you can tell me a little bit about yourself, the organization, the nature of your work, and about the Amazon Bioeconomy Chamber. Why did you feel the need to create this? Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much to everyone for today, for the session today. It's a pleasure to be here. So just a little bit about myself. I've been working with the Amazon in the Amazon region for 10 years now. As a consultant, I lead projects that are related to bioeconomy, to generating economic activities with indigenous peoples. I started working with indigenous peoples back in 2014. Then I moved to London to do my master's degree at the London School of Economics, pretty much related to this topic, like trying to find economic solutions that will stop deforestation to happen, that would generate value from protecting human rights and the biodiversity of the Amazon. Now I'm doing my PhD here in London in climate finance. So basically climate finance for the Amazon region related to indigenous peoples and the protection of women's and the rights of these people that keep the forest standing. Beyond that, I'm creating the Amazon Bioeconomy Chamber, which is an initiative that was born to bring the bioeconomy value of the Amazon to the global north. So just before introducing a little bit more about the chamber, I just want to give you like a little bit about the definition of Amazon bioeconomy. So basically, what is Amazon bioeconomy? It is an economy that keeps the forest standing. And the challenge that we saw when we decided to create the Amazon Chamber was that the markets for those products are pretty much localized and regionalized in the Amazon region. So there is a big gap between where the bioeconomy is created in the Amazon and the big markets that would consume that products and services in the Amazon that are generated within the bioeconomy in the Amazon. So, and then we saw that we needed to open a door for this trade to happen and for creating a space where this bioeconomy can be communicated with these global markets that can actually access those products and services that are already happening in the Amazon. And then we could leverage the economic value of this bioeconomy in order to try to increase the size of this bioeconomy in a way that it could compete with the power, economic and political power of the business as usual economy, which is destroying the forest. So basically, the reason that we saw the need for creating the bioeconomy chamber is giving more access to bigger markets that could enhance the capacity of this local bioeconomy to grow and then like face the markets of commodities that are actually cutting down and burning the forest.
That's great. Thank you, Julia. I've been following the work, and just to clarify, the Amazon Bioeconomy Chamber is in Miami. It was recently also inaugurated. I've been following Diana's work as well, so it's a pleasure to meet you. Andre, I imagine you have a lot to say into this and your experience, but before that, I'm going to fly all the way to Australia, and then we'll go back to the Amazon. So please go ahead, Matt. We have little time for introductions, so if you can be as quick as possible, and then we'll go.
Sure thing. Thanks, Tazio. Yeah, my name is Matt Barnett. I'm the head of marketing and export at a distillery in Byron Bay in Australia, Cape Byron Distillery. So Byron Bay is on the New South Wales and Queensland border on the east coast of Australia. We're the most easterly point of mainland Australia. And the region that we're located was once the biggest subtropical rainforest in Australia. It covered about 75,000 hectares. It now has been decimated to about 1%. And our distillery is located on a private property, 100 acres, that was once a rundown dairy farm. It's been lovingly regenerated over the last 30 years with over 40,000 subtropical rainforest trees, which has now kind of grown into a beautiful, thriving ecosystem. And it's that rainforest that the Brook family planted 30 years ago that we source all these botanicals, native botanicals, Australian botanicals from the rainforest, and distill them into our gin. So we make a product called Brookie's Gin, Brookie's Rainforest Gin, and we also mature a single malt whiskey called Cape Byron Whiskey, which is matured in the nice, cool environment of the rainforest as well. So my background is marketing spirits, whiskey, and alcohol in Australia, and then this business was established 6 years ago when I joined the company, and yeah, it's been a great journey. Kind of sharing our regeneration story, but also having some byproducts from the regeneration of the rainforest to kind of enjoy as well around Australia and in the USA now as well.
That's amazing.
So yeah, exciting to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Matt. And if I'm correct, you've also been now certified or part of the B Corp as well, no?
That's correct. Yeah. So that was it's a big journey, but yeah, we've just been 12 months ago we were certified B Corp in Australia, which is really exciting. It's unusual for a distillery to be in the B Corp space, but you know, normally there's a lot of negative impacts from alcohol, but you know, we thrive to be a force for good, a business for a force for good, and yeah, we're really proud to achieve that certification.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Matt. All the way back to Brazil, Andre, if you want to give a few words about Sabará Group, specifically about Concepta ingredients, that would be possible. Thank you.
Yeah, very quick. It's a long story. We are a 66-year-old company. We'll be 67 this year. I'm the third generation of the company. We started with solution and products for water treatment, and until today we do that with more sustainable products in Brazil. In the whole part of Brazil, we have 6 plants, and one of them is Concepta. And Concepta it's a business that it's ingredients for food ingredients, veterinary ingredients, and pet food ingredients. So we are actually in the process to become a B Corp. So it's something that I know how the challenge that meant. I'm doing this right now. It's more than 1 year that we are trying. We are like a medium company, so it's a lot of challenges. But we started thinking about ESG since 2000, and then in 2007 we became partners with Global Compact, and we used to have a cosmetic company that we sold to a European company, and and we work with ingredients from Brazilian biodiversity. Not only Amazon region, but now we are doing that and replying this project with food ingredients. So we are doing that in nutraceuticals and other products, and we are doing that with a program that we called bioabundance program. So we are a bridge between the industry and the people that lives in these biomes. In Brazil, we have it's not only Amazon. We have a different biomes that are rich and they need to be restored and to be conserved. So this is the I don't know you can see more about our company on our websites, and it's hard to explain in 5 minutes. But I'm a director. I'm the third generation, and I'm director of ESG and also in a commercial area in Concepta. And Concepta actually it's more than 20-year-old part of the group, but now since 2 years ago we are replying the same case that we did in the cosmetic, that we won a lot of international prizes and certifications. So we are doing the same thing. We learn a lot, and the challenges are different because food ingredients it's different. It's different. It's a different approach, but we are trying to do the same thing, and with other biomes, because it's something that Brazil needs. It's not only the Amazon is the main focus because of the rainforest, but we have other biomes that are really important for the whole globe. It's not only the Amazons, but we have some work in the Amazon region, and we are hopefully that we can put a scale on that on the projects and to attend the market. It's the thing is food ingredients. It's a big scale, so we can help more people that if you compare with cosmetics. So it's a process, and we are learning every day. So this is more like a introduction.
Thank you, Andre. Is there any questions that you'd like to make? I always like to, after introductions, you probably feel identified to something that the other one say or anything. If you want to make comments, if not, I'll go straight into my first question. You tell me. You're good? All right. So what I'd like to discuss first, Matt, says we know companies today, a lot of them are going now into sustainability, as a secondary mechanism, if I can say it like that.
That's right.
But from what I know from you guys, restoration is really at the core of the company. It came first, actually, if I'm right.
Very much so.
Can you tell us about this non-traditional approach to impact?
I can. Thanks, Azio. So our story kind of begins about 30 years ago with a family called the Brook family, an Australian family that lived in the inner city of Melbourne, which is one of the largest cities in Australia, and they were in quite corporate roles. Pam was a dentist, and Martin was a film producer, and they wanted a sea change. And one night they decided at a dinner party they would throw a dart at a map in Australia, and they'll relocate to that regional area in Australia. And the dart landed on a region in just near south of where we are in Byron Bay. So they relocated here, and they found 100 acres of property, and they thought they would become farmers with not a farming bone in their body and no real idea on what they were going to farm. Back in the 80s, macadamia trees are a subtropical rainforest tree native to Australia, indigenous to the southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales. And many people think they're indigenous to Hawaii, but I think they were just successfully cultivated in Hawaii. Originally from Australia, and everyone in our region was planting macadamia trees. So they bought 100 acres of rundown dairy farm and began planting macadamia trees. They also had a whole lot of noxious weeds. We have this horrible weed called lantana, which grows quite prolific in our subtropical region, as well as camphor laurel trees, both introduced from Asia. And the local council gave them a notice saying that they had to clear all the weeds from the property because they were infringing on the neighbors, and if they didn't do that, they'll be given a fine. So they set about to remove the weeds, but they also received some advice from local local businesses and people that were regenerating the local area, and they learnt a lot about the region. It was once the largest subtropical rainforest in Australia. 75,000 hectares was this massive rainforest called the Big Scrub. And so they seeked some advice from local nurseries and friends, and were given advice to plant rainforest trees. So they set about planting rainforest trees and they just got a passion, a rainforest tree bug, and just decided to plant more and more rainforest trees. So over the course of 30 years, they've planted over 40,000 trees on their property, and about 4,000 macadamia trees. And the macadamia trees, they started growing nuts, and instead of selling the nuts as a raw material, they began value adding to the macadamias and creating mueslis and macadamia oils and things like that, and selling them at the markets. But the main kind of purpose of establishing their business was really just to regenerate the property and clear all the weeds off, and have somewhere to kind of relocate from the city and make an impact on the environment. So yeah, and then the gin didn't start until 6 years ago. So after the rainforest started growing and becoming really established, we discovered that there's lots of beautiful ingredients that you can source from the rainforest. Native myrtles, there is certain berries from aspenberry trees, native ginger, wild raspberry, even macadamia. So we had all these beautiful flavors from the rainforest that we wanted to showcase to customers, to friends, to people in the region, to celebrate the local flavors of the rainforest. So the Brook family started applying those flavors to the macadamia and muesli products. And then there was a fortuitous meeting with a master distiller from Scotland called Jim McEwen. And Jim McEwen was traveling around Australia with the Brook family's son, Eddie Brook, and they were promoting a gin from Scotland and a whiskey from Scotland. And they traveled around promoting the products and really just learned a lot about each other's family, as you do when you travel around with someone for several weeks in their pocket. And Jim proposed the idea of, after learning about the Brook family's rainforest, that they would make a gin together. So that kind of story started about 7 years ago, and the distillery was built soon after that. And the first gin made with rainforest botanicals ran off the still in about December 2016. The real origins is just regenerating rainforest, planting rainforest trees, and macadamia trees is where it all started.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for that. Okay, so as I'm going to say, as a key today in conservation, sustainability, restoration, a key is really, as Rainforest Partnership, we really believe in the key of the importance of partnerships. I think that is an undeniable role that it has today, bringing governments, the private sector, NGOs, communities, everyone together. Julia, you've been working on this quite a lot from what I understand with Nayana. So what do you think has been specifically the key in aligning the interests of governments, the interests of investors, the interests of the communities, and companies as well. You know, that can't be an easy task. So if you can give us a little bit of an insight, that would be amazing.
Sure, that's a really good question. But before answering the question, if you allow me, I want to start with some numbers about the Amazon, just to give a bit of the context of the region. So,
go ahead.
So the Amazon represents 60%, just the Brazilian part of the Amazon represents 60% of the Brazilian territory. But last year, just 8.7% of the Brazilian GDP came from the Amazon region. This 8.7% of the GDP that came from the Amazon would represent 0.14% of the GDP of the USA last year, or let's say 13% of the GDP of Florida last year. Even though Florida has just 10% of the size of the Brazilian Amazon, which means that the economics of the Amazon is still struggling a lot. However, if we see some of the ecological and climate numbers of the Amazon, we see another picture. The Amazon is accountable for at least 10% of the world biodiversity. I'm saying at least because biodiversity is not an easy measure, an easy thing to measure. So we are departing from a point that we don't even know the size of the global biodiversity. So with the numbers that we have now, let's say that at least 10% of the global biodiversity is in the Brazilian part of the Amazon. 44% of the Brazilian Amazon is covered by protected areas. And those protected areas, they stored last year 36% of the global carbon emissions from burning fossil fuel in 1 year. So 44% of the Brazilian part of the Amazon stored the same amount of carbon than 36% of the global emissions in 1 year, which means that the size of the ecological and climate importance of the Amazon is much bigger than we see the numbers in its economy, which means that the economy of the Amazon is not reflecting the importance, the economic, the ecological and climate size of the Amazon, right? We are not being able to translate it, or we are not being able to provide the Amazon the relevance that it needs with the appropriate economic measurements. So this is exactly what is aligning all those stakeholders, because they see with this number, when we combine the economic with the ecological and climate numbers for the Amazon, we see that we need an alternative to generate economic value for the Brazilian and climate importance to the world. And then when they are aligned with this understanding that we need to find economic solutions to provide the proper value for the Amazon, for the ecological values for the Amazon, then we need to think about what type of economics that we can create, to provide the value, the economic value for the Brazilian biodiversity. We have already economic solutions, which is the bioeconomy. And the bioeconomy is an economy that already exists, that is already operating in the Amazon. Because when you say that the bioeconomy is an economy that keeps the forest standing, and since the forest is still there, part of the forest is still standing, it means that we have a bioeconomy that is operating. But this bioeconomy is just very, very localized. And then we need to grow the size of this economy. And this is exactly the purpose that is aligning everyone, that is putting everyone in the same room to discuss about how to grow the size, the value of the bioeconomy, how we can make it bigger in a way that it can compete with an economy that is also trying to, to infiltrate the forest, destroying it, because of course it is easier to create value with gold. It is easier to create value with markets that are big, big, like of commodities. And then, but in order to try to avoid these commodities to advance into the forest, into protected areas, we need to enhance the capacity of this bioeconomy to grow in terms of economic generation, because the Amazonians are still struggling with poverty, poor access to education, health services, and those things. But we need to provide those services. We need to provide economic value from chains, from sources, from products and services that will sustain the forest standing, that will keep these people that know how to protect the forest there in their territory and doing what they need to do, what they know how to do, which is protecting the forest. And so this is why this is the purpose of the bioeconomy chamber, because as we saw that all those stakeholders are aligned this vision that we need to grow this bioeconomy market and to reach out, more value markets that are not in the region, then we are like discussing alternatives to develop those markets, because those markets abroad are not ready. So we don't have ready clients for those products that are not in Brazil. So how can we prepare those clients, those consumers that are not in Brazil, that don't understand the value of those products that protect the forest, to understand and to give the proper value that those products and services need to be given. Just to give a very brief example. So I wouldn't say that a chocolate that is produced in indigenous communities in the Amazon can compete with Kit Kat, for example. It's not the same product. It's a totally different product. And what is the difference between them? A chocolate that is produced in an indigenous community in the Amazon region comes with environmental protection. It comes with protection of human rights. It comes with possibility of a future for our planet. So the person who is like buying chocolate that is produced in the Amazon, in indigenous communities in the Amazon, is not just buying a chocolate. It's buying much more than that. And how can we value this much more in a chocolate? And this is the question that we are discussing with those stakeholders. And this is and the Amazon Chamber is here to put everyone in the same room, and to bring more and more people to this room, that we are creating this room to discuss how we can create more value for international markets, given to the Amazon biodiversity. And yeah, this is what is aligning those people in this purpose.
Thank you, Julia. I mean, I think there's people in the audience at this point that would be very interested in knowing more about it, because I'm sure there's lots of projects with lots of potential that are maybe not getting the right access, that don't have the right ability maybe at this point to be amongst those stakeholders. So I really hope that I encourage people to really connect with you guys to be able to have a bigger room in the future.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Andre, I'm going to move with you in the conversation. One of the important things from what I understand at Sabará and Concepta, you were previously also an important player in the sustainable cosmetics industry. So what have been some of the key lessons really into building a business from the ground up in the 66 years that you mentioned that can be profitable and sustainable? What would you say is one of those keys?
So listening to Julia, for me, it's music to our ears, because it's something that we are all in this together. It's not just a company, because even though we work with we used to work with a lot of products and a lot of communities, it's something that it's the concept that we need to change. So it's the same thing, but we work with ingredients. So it's the same thing as why we can put like a cupuaçu in a chocolate for Kit Kat to buy. They are helping the community also. so it's not competing with the chocolate that the indigenous people are doing or the communities are doing, but they are also helping. They can do both. So something that we did this in a cosmetic business. The company Beraca is still it's current group now, but we used to have a industry there for more than 10 years. And we know the challenge that the Amazon region it's really hard to work there, because the transportation, the costs are different, and it's hard to manufacture in a industry scale and to have the same quality that the like L'Oreal or Body Shop are they need to have the same quality, the same specification, and also the same in volumes. So you have to work with communities in the way that it's not forcing them to do it, but you are helping them to have an extra income. And then when they are doing that, they are conserving the forest, because they are a guardian of the forest, because they don't need to cut the trees. They will protect the forest. And like Julia said, the thing is that we cannot do talk about conserve a forest or a biome or without taking the people that are living there, because it's a social thing that it's bigger than the aspect of cutting the trees. It's something it's bigger. So the thing that we learn a lot is to work together. We have to work together. It's a thing that it's not only just one company doing, one NGO. We have to create like an alliance with all the people that are trying to talk about it, and it's not only me saying or Julia saying or like Matt are doing in Australia. It's not something we are talking about conserving the planet and conserving the biodiversity. So we learn a lot with understanding the people. Some people are easier to work with. Some communities are different. Some communities are they have like a history of doing things different way. So we work together with people that are actually living there. So the workforce, you have to understand them. It's not because I live. I don't know if like Matt in Australia is different for you, because for us, for example, I'm in the southeast of Brazil, and in the Amazon region, it's the north part. It's completely different. It's kind of a different country. The accent is different. The way that the people think are different. So we have to work in the way that you are respecting the differences. So this is the thing that we learn sometimes in the hard way, but this is a thing that we are doing now. We are helping people that live there, the people that they are really they know the forest like no one, because they are living there for, I don't know, 1,000 years, and they know how to understand the forest. It's not me like going there and seeing, oh, I will do that and I have this idea. It's something that you have to respect the difference. So this is one thing that we learn, and also we learn that we have to do everything together. It's not only my company or an NGO that will solve the problem. We have to put the government together in this discussion. We have to put the finance area in this discussion, because it's something that it's too big. I don't know how can we explain to someone that never been there how big is the Amazon. So but we have to do it in our generation, in my generation, the next generation, because otherwise we are getting the richest thing in the world, and we are reducing it to commodities. So it's something that we have to add value. So something that We are working, like I said, it's not only Amazon region. We love Amazon. It's something that we work, and we still are working. But there are other biomes in Brazil that we are trying to work together, like Mata Atlântica. I don't know if you know. It's something that we need to regenerate the biome. It was cutting. Everything was cutting since the beginning of Brazil, since the colonization, and it's really rich also. And we have indigenous people that live there too. So something that we can talk to I don't know, in the next meeting, but it's something that we are working, and we need help from everybody, and learn from everybody. So that's the thing that we
a note for the audience. A note for the audience: Mata Atlântica is the Atlantic rainforest in the south of Brazil, which is also one of the highest biodiversity concentrations, from what I understand. Thank you, Andre. I think you made a very good point, which was actually my next question. The importance, we've spoken a little bit about stakeholders as a general, the private sector, governments, investors. Great, but what about communities? So Andre, thank you for opening that. Matt, what is your experience like working with communities in Australia, which is such a different country, but also an extremely diverse country, and very important in geography terms, and territory. So please, if you could share your experience with that a little bit.
Yeah, our experience working with communities, it's been really exciting journey for us. The Brook family have 100 acres of property, and we're about a 10-minute drive from the closest town, which is Byron Bay. Byron Bay has a small population of about 15,000 permanent residents, but over a 12-month period, we receive over 2 million tourists every year because of the beautiful natural environment, the beautiful beaches, and the proximity to where the rainforest meets the sea. It's a pretty magical part of the east coast of Australia. So we're pretty lucky with a captive audience. Everyone wants to come and visit here and discover the nature. And so a part of our business model is we have a distillery and a cellar door where people can come and visit us most days of the week, and we educate visitors about the regeneration process of the rainforest, and we take them on a guided walk through the rainforest while they're sipping the gin that's made from the rainforest, and educating people about just the regeneration and the native botanicals that grow here in abundance. We work with local indigenous elders, and they also host tours and talks to different people in the community, educating people about the regeneration process and educating people about original uses for some of the native botanicals that grow in the rainforest here. So just telling people about the story of the land and where some of the Dreamtime stories from the indigenous elders. It's not just a gin or a whiskey. It's we provide that educational piece about the whole story about the big scrub, and there was it was when it was the biggest subtropical rainforest in Australia, and there was incentives for landholders to go and cut down all the beautiful red cedar trees for timber, for building furniture and houses, and that a lot of that was cut down and shipped overseas to the UK, and cleared for farming. So educating people about that story of the land, and showing what can be done to regenerate the property over someone's lifetime. It's achievable over 10-20 years. So it's something that as a business, you need to have more of a purpose than just making a profit, and we support the Big Scrub Land Care. we feel really passionate about that, and donate a lot of our proceeds and build awareness for the big scrub. So when we're talking about our products, it's about not just the gin that tastes nice, it's about the story and the backstory behind it, where it's a regeneration story and sustainability. Yeah.
And Matt, I think you made another great point, which is the importance of stories, right?
That's
We're all
right.
talking about products, we're talking about communities, we're talking about stakeholders, but what connects them, right? And I think that is something that is extremely important. And that takes us to the title of this session, which is From Forest to Table, how this travels. So, I mean, especially, go ahead. I see you have something to say.
Sorry to interrupt, Tazia. We're really proud. Just recently, we hosted a national Australian cocktail competition, and the theme was regeneration. So using our gin and creating a cocktail with a story about sustainability, the rainforest, and regeneration. And it was great to see building a lot of awareness and people understanding how important the rainforests are, but also combining a gin and a fun kind of occasion to enjoy the products. And it's not just about drinking gin or having a party. It was an educational piece, and it was really great to see bartenders from big cities kind of researching and understanding the importance of rainforests and the stories that we've done, and they share them with their customers. And it's been a really good journey to push that agenda with the bar community in Australia.
Oh, that's amazing. So yeah, I mean, and the Amazon has grown so much in terms of bioeconomy. The bioeconomy has really expanded itself quite a lot. And it goes from the famous acai that has traveled the world to essential oils, to cupuaçu, which you mentioned, Andre, to all these different amazing gifts that the rainforest has for us. There's a lot of projects that are currently ongoing. There's a lot of interest, but maybe the stories are still not getting out there as much as they should. Andre, Julia, do you have some insight when it comes to that, to all these amazing stories that should be told?
I think there is a big language barrier, right? Not just in terms of like Portuguese, English, but also like in terms of understanding the value of things. And when we put like people that is running this bioeconomy locally in a room with people like from the market, like from financial sector, businesses, blah 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 blah, the wording is different. How people interpret economy is different. And I think this is one of the things that we always face when we say like, okay, so we want to create this room where is a safe space for everyone to sit down and discuss and think about solutions for everyone. So because we know that the private sector, private investors, the private capital in the US, here in the UK, in lots of countries in the global north, wants to find a way to invest in sustainable businesses, in forest protection, biodiversity, blah, blah, blah. But they always say like, okay, so how can we do that and feel safe that we are doing the right thing, right? On the other hand, we have like people on the ground saying like, we have lots of opportunities. There are many, many things that we can do here, but we don't have like the basic. Sometimes they just need like an equipment that is like $1,000 just to produce juice and then sell that juice to the school, and then with selling that juice to the school they can grow their income from bioeconomy products. But just because they don't have capacity to access $1,000, they are locking their capacity to generate income from like the bioeconomy because they cannot access money. So, and then we have like this, very like distant perspective about where the problem is. The problem is that everyone is seeing the problem from one side or the other side, and we are not being able to put all, these groups together to communicate. And why we're not being able to put these groups together to communicate? Because even when we try, we have like this barrier of like understanding or like seeing, where is the what is the sometimes we go to the to indigenous people and talk about bioeconomy, and they say like, I don't even understand this term. So for us it's just like like indigenous production, blah blah blah. It's another word, but they use one word to say the same thing that we are trying to say like for a different group. And translating those two words, in a way that they will be able to find a solution together is one of the biggest challenges that we see now. And then and the chamber is here like to try to make this possibility happen, and to think in terms of like economy that will facilitate the life of those people that have the money and want to put the money there, and those people that need the money but don't know how to access this money that is here. So
Julia,
this is the challenge.
Lots of opportunities and maybe not enough access. No, it goes back to that. Andre?
Yeah, it's something that is the biggest challenge that we face. So sometimes the people that because we don't work just with indigenous people, we work also with the people that call ribeirinhos, that they live in the near the rivers, and also people that live in the they are not indigenous, but they know how to live there, and sometimes they don't have even an ID or a bank account, or so we try to put them together with to form a cooperative. We did that a lot in the Marajó Island, and sometimes the stories that we want to tell is you are helping them help the forest. We are doing a thing that is you're helping them, and then they are going to help the forest. The forest is not going to solve its problem by itself. It's something that it's impossible, because there are people living there, and Julia, I think it was fantastic to put some numbers on perspective that if you compare with Florida, it's something that I never heard before. So it's amazing that you put in perspective this kind of numbers, and the stories are we have to tell the story about this region, these communities, and they turned into cooperatives, and then in cooperatives we have to have NGOs that they are providing that they're doing the right thing. We are doing the right thing because you're paying the fair price, and they can the finance area can understand that we are doing a fair business, because they want to invest in fair business. It's not think that you're telling a good story. You have to tell with numbers, and that I think that we develop a lot in Beraca, the company that we are using a lot. It's something that we call biocorrelation. How many people are living there? How many people? How can we use these products, and using this product, how much hectares you are conserving? But we have to do that with a third part that can guarantee that we are doing the business in a fair manner. Because unfortunately we saw a lot in the world, something that we call greenwash and then social wash, that the people that are they tell a good story, but they are not doing the right thing. So you have to be, like I said, we have to work together. It's something that everybody needs to be in the same page, and the thing that thing that it's like Julia said, it's a completely different terms. Even for us in south part of Brazil, it's completely different. The accent is different, and the way that we live are different. So we are. It's something that it's a challenge that we're facing every single day. Is different. Even in the regions that even in the Amazon region, if you put Amazon state and Pará state, they are different states. They are different. You can see that if you visit Manaus, and if you visit Belém, you're going to see a lot of completely different type of people, type of way of thinking about life. So I think the challenge is it's going to be this for I don't know, many years to come, because we need to say or to talk in the same language. I think this is I think the biggest challenge, to a financial area understand that helping a community, a cooperative, they are helping the forest, and the forest is helping them, and then we can put a business together. We can sell ingredients, we can sell products that comes from them. Something that we did a lot is we transfer technology. It's not only buying the raw material. It's something that we are doing today until today is it's investing in them and putting the financial area together and say, okay, we need the raw oil, not the raw material. We need the not just the seed. We need the because it's easier for everybody. And also for carbon print is something that our company is really working a lot with SEG to. So we are the first company in Brazil that is using science-based targets to put the target that the carbon footprint to reduce, and this it's helping also the ESG part. That's not only the conservation, but it's also all the institution that you have to do as a company, as the responsibility that we have as a company to the world, so to society. So it's really I'm really glad to have this discussion, because it's something that we are doing every single day, and I didn't even know that Australia has had whiskeys with this kind of a story behind it. So I'm really curious to someday to test and to see how it's something amazing that we can see that we are doing the same thing. And Australia and Brazil are in the same, almost the same weather, almost the same part of the world, the planet. You know?
Matt, I think we're all going to be looking forward to some of that gin eventually.
I hope so. I think I might have sent a bottle to your office, Tazio. So you might be able to toast the rainforest gin and tonic later today.
All right, I won't tell too many people though. Thank you for that.
Brazil is too far, so I will not ask for us. But someday I will go to Australia, and then I will definitely go into.
Andre, I appreciate some just to conclude with that. I appreciate some of that insight that you shared. The feeling I get listening to the three of you is that there is no such thing as working in nature and working by ourselves. That's very clear. And I think we've learned, and when I say we've learned, is probably from the past, that is not the way. So I'm very happy that you came together, that you accepted our invitations to join this conversation. I think it's very special. I hope you can exchange much more. You can exchange also with the audience. I know there's some people in there who will be very interested in speaking to probably to the three of you. And we have a few minutes left. I'm skipping a lot of questions. I wish I could have had more time to ask you. And the last one I'm going to make is, as representatives or people who are closely connected to the private sector, how can the private sector really have a bigger impact in sustainability, in the climate crisis, and in climate transition? What would be your insight just to close this conversation? What is still needed? Please go ahead, whoever feels like talking first.
So I think what they need to do is to be less afraid of the risks, because I think this fear of risks is avoiding the private sector to try new models for investment, new people, new type, new things. So it's like really how can we, like, you know, give more courage to this private sector. Please, like, just have more courage and just give a try, and let's discuss together how to reduce those risks, or how you can feel like less, you know, more like more with more courage to go ahead and like try new partnerships, try new ways of thinking, of ways of doing business, and like be less focused on like growth of, you know, like financial growth, and let's think about growth of impact, growth of other indicators, you know. I think that's a way of you know, expanding the role of business in our society is also I think a way of you know, trying to get more the private sector on board of protecting forests and people in the global south.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you. Andre, Matt, any closing remarks you'd like to?
I'll jump in, Andrea. Thanks, Tazio.
We have 4 minutes left. Just to know that.
I'll be really quick. I believe that it's really similar. My thoughts are with Julia as well. We're a B Corp business, and you know, I think businesses need to think a lot less traditional process, and a lot more about communities, about people, about doing business differently. And if you join a B Corp, they're a business with a force for good. So they consider supply chain, they consider the communities and the people that they work with. So yeah, I think the business world has to have a more of a better way to approach things, rather than just a financial benefit, but for the environmental benefits, for the community benefits. And that's something that yeah, a business needs to stand out in current times, is to do things differently, like Julia mentioned as well.
Thank you for Matt. Thank you for that, Matt. Andre, I don't know if we lost you a little bit there. I don't know if you're back. In any case, I mean, I deeply appreciate, again, there we go, we lost him again. Anyway, in case he doesn't come back, Julia, I really appreciate you joining. I know it's late for you. Matt, I hope you have a nice start to your day as well. It's amazing to be able to.
It was a pleasure to join.
No, thank you, and please feel free, if you can't find each other's contacts, we'll provide them. Feel free to reach out to me or to myself if you want to chat more afterwards.
That'd be great. Thanks for having us, Tazio.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tazio.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao.
Thank you, Tazio. We're going to switch to the keynote in just a second.